So
wrap it up.
that's you guys can talk later. I got things to do. I hear that.
I hear you.
Actually, I got a meeting after this, right after you. So you know how that goes. So just 30 minutes.
Okay.
It airs on Thursday, 6:30.
Okay.
Frederick gives us like he cues us on time and things. So
Okay.
20 minute, 10 minutes.
Okay.
So do the 5-second countdown. You got the question, so I mean, just old hat kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
like
So,
I mean, it's kind of we're just talking.
right, it's
Yeah.
30 minutes. You could fill. You know, you don't.
And I just have like in front of me, I just have the stuff, just more of on the when we start talking about the center.
Right.
So I
Cool. Yep. I
Get my
think people.
points that
Yeah.
Annie Miller told me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you still have to go let them know about this. Okay.
She's like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yay.
well,
Make sure you say this. Okay.
the whole litany.
The whole litany.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and good evening. My name is Terry Alford, and welcome to Our Story. Again, thank you for letting us into your homes tonight to hear about all the great things that's happening on the Michigan State African American Heritage Corridor, as well as all the great things happening on the east side of Buffalo. Our Story is just one more forum to keep you all informed. Again, Our Story will air at this time every Thursday evening, right here on Waffle Radio Power 96.5 FM. Our Story, as it always does, features guests, unknown facts, treasure stories, and themes that provide insight into the historic Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor. So we always ask that you join us here to learn the latest happenings of the corridor in the east side of Buffalo. We're not just about history and preservation and heritage. We also think it's important to talk about our good health, maintaining good health, preserving good health. We like to say in our heritage corridor for people to enjoy our history and heritage and our architecture and culture and art and all those things in between, we need to have good, healthy people to do that. So we just finished up with April as being designated as National Health Awareness Month. So in light of that, we wanted to invite a special guest with us today. She's more than a special guest, she's a friend of mine, actually. So I'm so happy to have Nikia Clark Robinson here this evening. She's Director of Community Outreach and Engagement at the Department of Cancer Prevention and Control, right here at our own Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center, down the street from us. So welcome, Nikia.
Thank you for having me, Terry.
So as we always do, we like to invite our guests to maybe share a little bit about who they are, share their stories, because our story is about storytelling. So go right ahead. Who are you, Nikia?
So I am Nikia Clark Robinson. As Terry, my friend, mentioned, I am the Director of Community Outreach and Engagement. More so, I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I am a child of God.
Amen.
And I am somebody that is very passionate about the health of the African American community. I'm very passionate about, while I'm doing this work, making a change and trying to figure out ways that are easy, that are accessible, that can really make an impact in people's lives, because we continue to see the effects of bad health, of health inequity on our community. So I am just vested into making a change in our community and our community's health.
Yeah, we're so happy that you're doing this. So many people at Roswell Park that are in the business of saving lives, educating, advocating for education, and getting the business of actually saving people's lives. So, you know, we heard a little bit about why you're in the career that you're in. Could you talk about some of the schooling and training that was required in your position, and how long you've been at Roswell Park?
Yeah, so I have been at Roswell Park for 20 years. So it was after couple years after I graduated from University of Buffalo. I did a degree, social sciences degree, and really honed in on social services, and kind of got my feet wet in what I was starting to learn as the social determinants of health. From there, I got an entry-level position, actually at the Buffalo Urban League. That is where my kind of roots, the foundation was laid of community outreach and what that meant. At 2.5 years, I worked with youth, um, Buffalo youth that were kind of transitioning from high school into college and getting them prepped and ready and making sure that they have the resources to be successful.
Right.
And I was working off of a grant. As we know, grants sometimes end, and so at that time I was just looking for another job, but didn't want to leave Buffalo yet. But I had a kind of timeline because my mom said, if you don't find something, you come back home and we'll have to figure it out. But it was really by the grace of God I put in a application at Roswell Park. It was for the Institutional Review Board Specialist. I had no idea what that
job
was.
What in the world is that?
I had no idea what that job was. And so I'll tell you, it's called the IRB, the Institutional Review Board. They oversee and really keep a close eye on all the research that's done. They look at research for integrity to make sure it is scientifically sound, that it's worthy to be practiced and to be implemented in the human population. And so I read a whole lot. I got caught up on kind of that area, and I worked in that area and had great mentors in that area. I have to give a shout out to Dr. Camille Witcher. She was one of my first kind of mentors and supervisors at Roswell Park. And I did well. I did well there. My first 3 years was in that department, and then Dr. Deborah Irwin came over to Roswell and started the Office of Community Health Disparities Research. And when I found out that office was starting, I said, "Oh, that is my calling. That is what I want to do." That was all about looking at the disparities of cancer as it relates to different underrepresented populations. And I met lifelong friends, one of them being Terry Alford, who mentored me, and I, was able to work side by side with him. And I really grew in that position. And as time has gone on, that department is now called the Community Outreach and Engagement Department, led by Dr. Elizabeth Bouchard, another great mentor and leader for health disparities. And we're just growing and doing bigger and better things, and really making an impact.
And I have to say, I'm very proud of what you've been doing at Roswell Park. Personally, on a personal note, very proud of how you progressed and was able to get promoted to the ranks just by your own, not just wits, but your own determination, your own, really strong, dedication to serving our community, and you utilize that to really raise yourself up in Roswell Park. And I applaud Roswell Park for the progress and their attention to the community of late. We'll get more into that later. But so proud that you're a director there now, director of community engagement. When I would say that was not a thing at Roswell Park or Buffalo General, and now it's a big thing.
But it's a big thing, yeah.
So, getting to the issues of cancer, especially as it relates to what is labeled in technical terms as disparate populations, but people of color, marginalized communities, you pick the label. But could you, as it applies to especially the Black community, what are some of the really concerning issues surrounding the different cancers? And could you talk about those individual ones?
Sure.
To the community?
First out, let's just say it is 2024, and we are still talking about cancer and how it affects our Black community. And so, right there in that's an issue. But what I will say is that the conversation has changed. We do have new knowledge. It's not all bleak. So I'm not going to leave this radio program without giving some hope. But right now, the Western New York, the snapshot of cancer for Western New York, we remain the highest in the county for cancer incidence rate. and mortality rates. So incidence rates are the people that are being diagnosed with cancer, and mortality rates are the people that are dying from cancer. We are still in Western New York, and if you think about New York State, that includes New York City. So think of all the people that live in New York City. We still here in Western New York are higher than New York State's average and the national average. And so the cancers that we really have to pay attention to, that we kind of carry the cancer burden for, are lung cancer, prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, and breast cancer. They really are impacting our community at rates that we have to do something to change, or we have to change our approach to how we think about cancer and how we treat cancer and how we address cancer. So colorectal, breast, prostate, and lung cancer, I think we all, as a community, we know cancer is still relevant, but we just have to find a better way to address it and to deal with it and to lessen the impact.
You mentioned earlier in some of your comments about, you referred to the social determinants of health. Many of our listening audience may not know what those are or what that means. Can you share that? Because I think it's important when we talk about such things as cancer in marginalized communities, that really has a negative impact and actually creates more of the problems that we deal with.
So when talking about social determinants of health and cancer, we've gotten smart enough to know that we can't just deal with cancer as a disease, right? So we have to look at it as how it affects the whole person, how it affects the whole community. And so you can't do that without looking at if there are things like food insecurity. Are people able to get healthy food? Are people able to exercise? Is the air quality in your neighborhood, is it good? Are the sidewalks tore up so you can't even walk outside? Are there things like that you worry about violence? Are there educational opportunities for you? Are there financial, wealth and management opportunities for you? So if you don't have those things, those are all considered social determinants of health. Even housing. Are you living in housing that could make you sick? So all of those things are considered social determinants of health. We even think about now your mental health. How much stress are you under? What's the job, outlook for you? Are you employed? Do you have good transportation? So all of those things, if you think about it, they are factors in how we go about our health, how we seek health care, if we go to the doctor, if we make health a priority. Because I'm going to tell you, you're not going to make health a priority, number one, if you don't feel safe, if you don't have a good place to live, if you're worried about a job, if you're continuously stressed. Going to the doctor is not your priority. So having a new approach to cancer and how we attack cancer, how we treat cancer, how we look at cancer, we can't only look at the disease, we have to look at the whole person and their living environment and how to make that better.
Right. I remember when I was doing cancer advocacy, and where it is with Rosa Parks, and I'm not just Rosa Parks, so many other health groups or organizations, health departments. Back in those days, they tended to blame the victim for their plight, their problem, and it was no such thing as social determinants of health, but nonetheless, those were real things. And when you look at certain zip codes in the city of Buffalo, many of which were top dumping grounds, and you have toxic issues, carcinogens that are certain issues that causes cancer. These are very important in not just educating but treating and preventing cancers and things. Can you maybe speak to that?
So we know that in this area of Western New York, we have environmental pollution that has been with us before I even started this work. So we know that in this area, many people actually had really good jobs working at manufacturing plants, industrial plants. They had good jobs, but then years later we found out those jobs made them sick. Right? Those jobs eventually may have killed them. So we know that pollution of the Love Canal and the soil and the homes that are now built in these areas, that had something to do, that impacted our health in a negative way. And so we're still in 2024 trying to recover from all that, trying to put in legislation and policy and do the work to get us back into a healthy state. As far as like the neighborhoods, we look at, neighborhoods are their walkability, their safety issues. Neighborhoods, are you getting fresh fruits and vegetables? If it's not in a walking distance or somewhere in your neighborhood, are you really living in a healthy community? No, you're not. So all of those things continue, even today in 2024, to impact our health and the decisions that we make. Yeah.
So could you maybe quickly talk about what makes people at risk? When you go out and educate and you talk about at-risk factors in order to make people aware, not to scare them, but make them aware about what they could do for themselves with certain cancer. I know breast cancer, certain risk factors. Could you speak to the?
Yeah. So I want to start talking about a cancer that many of us don't know or may not realize that it actually kills more people than colorectal, breast, and prostate cancer combined, and that's lung cancer. So lung cancer is huge in this area, and many people are not aware of lung cancer as much as they are, let's say, breast cancer. So lung cancer, of course, when we think of lung cancer, we think of people that smoke. Yes, that is true. People are at a higher risk for lung cancer if they are smokers. But also if you were, received secondhand smoke as a child, if you grew up in a housing complex that everybody in the other apartments smoked around you, you are now at a higher risk. So it's not the one person, directly smoking, but it can be just passive, you're in the environment where smoke is, grew up in, if your parents smoke, your grandparents' house, they smoke, that's an issue. A lot of people don't realize that lung cancer, you're screening for it. So if you don't get screened, and we call, early detection, early screening is your best bet, that you're at a higher risk to have an advanced stage of lung cancer that you may not be able to get the best treatment for, so your outcome is not as good. We know that lung cancer survivors, we don't see as many as breast cancer or prostate cancer survivors. So we just want to pay more attention to lung cancer, but then, looking at colorectal cancer. A lot of what we eat, a lot of what we drink, stress levels. So you want to make sure that you're eating, we talk about this, fruits and vegetables. And we're going into farmers market season, and the wonderful thing about Buffalo is that we have farmers markets almost in every neighborhood now. We have mobile markets, mobile farmer markets. So if you can get down to one, and now there's a lot of education at these farmers markets that tell you how to use the vegetables, how to prepare them in the best way. Exercise, that's a big one. So if you're not active, you want to get active at least 30 minutes a day. Get that heart rate up. Drink half your weight in water, in fluid ounces in water. So real quick, if you are 200, Terry, if you're 200 pounds.
Why are you looking at me, Nikia?
If you're 200 pounds, you want to drink 100 fluid ounces of water a day. Again, with women and breast cancer, just being a woman actually increase, you're at risk for breast cancer. But again, quit smoking, exercise more, drink the water, fruits and veggies. I challenge everybody this summer to visit a farmer's market at least 5 times this summer. And, try some, all veggies, all fruit recipes. I don't want to take the fun out of this.
Well, it's interesting. That's a great segue for our announcement. That's what I like about Nikia, because she sets up our next announcement portion of our show here. So I'm happy to report and to announce that our second year of the Mrs. Francis Nash's Garden Basket Farmers Market is here. Our farmers market aims to spur economic and community development by promoting local production of agriculture while addressing the health issues that stem from lack of healthy food options on the east side of Buffalo. The market is scheduled to open with a flourish on Tuesday, May the 28th, and the farmers market is going to go right through to October. Right here at our headquarters parking lot at 136 Broadway Avenue, which is incidentally directly across the street from Waffle Radio Stations here, right here on Broadway. And this will continue every Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So in the coming weeks, we'll keep announcing that. As Nikia said, farmers market is very important to get those veggies, healthy fruits and vegetables, as well as learn how to prepare healthy options, and to really take those steps to help save your life. So thanks for the setup.
Oh yeah, show up and show out. Farmers markets this summer.
Farmers markets.
Show out. Farmers markets. Yeah.
As with our remaining time, one of the things I'm really excited to talk about while Nikki is here is your new outreach center, Roswell Park's new outreach center, dedicated at 907 Michigan. You are a neighbor, okay? Roswell Park has always been a neighbor of the corridor. You're just a couple blocks away from us, so we're excited with what you did with the house that's at least 100 years old, post Civil War, and instead of knocking down a home, you incorporate the history and the historic space as parting something new with the vision of community outreach. You want to talk about what this special space is going to play in saving lives?
Absolutely. So our Community Outreach and Engagement Center, again, located at 907 Michigan, it is a space where we are inviting the community in. So the way our department is set up, Community Outreach and Engagement Department, is we do a whole lot of outreach. We go out in the community. We are at churches. We are at block club events. We are at other community centers. We are in people's homes. And we do a lot of our education. We do a lot of our screening initiatives out in the community. And that's where we will always be. We will always take Roswell resources and education out in the community. But we needed a place to bring the community in so they can use a space that is a community first, it's a community-led space, to do those activities, to meet and congregate and fellowship with each other, that build up community-ness, build up, healthy people, the things that I talked about, activities that will decrease stress. Again, stress is another risk factor for cancer and a lot of other health issues as well. But it's a fun space. It's a welcoming space. We have everything there from, we invite people in to do healthy cooking demonstrations, line dancing. There's a group that comes in that talks about and shares their triumphs over addiction. It's a space where our cancer survivors come and kind of fellowship and gather together and talk about some of the things that they're going through. It's a space that some of our Roswell doctors will come and have one-on-one conversations or community conversations about the research and the good work that they're doing that they want the community to know about. But it's a space it's free to use. There's no cost. It is decked out with the best of audio-visual equipment, tables and chairs that can be kind of moved around and set up any way that you'd like. When we have it kind of classroom style with tables and chairs, we can fit about 35 people in there comfortably. Without the chairs, we can do up to about 55 people. We have a nice parking lot, but it's a beautiful space if you just want to come and get a tour. There are so many nice details that pay homage to the African American community, especially the Fruit Belt community, the Michigan Street community, even details down to the wallpaper.
Right.
I invite you to come in. Terry knows. He helps
beautiful
put that together.
It's beautiful space.
So come in. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. If you just want to stop in, there's drop-in space. If you need to use a computer for free, copying services, make a phone call, drop in space that's a little more private. If you want to come out and work with us, you know, there's space there. I encourage everyone to check out our website. You can get great pictures of the building, and that's at Roswell Park, www.roswellpark.org. You just type in community outreach and engagement, or the easier way is to call 716-845-8340, or you can email me as well. It's Nikia, Nikia.Clark, CLARK, at roswellpark.org. So it's Nikia.Clark at roswellpark.org. And come in and have a peek. Have a cup of coffee with us, you know, and we can discuss everything. We have patient navigators there. If you want to get screened, if you have questions about your own cancer, risk assessment, we can do that there for you as well. And then also, if you would like to have one of our programs or education, if you want to have me come out and speak at your event, at your church, at your community center, wherever, I'm available to do that.
Yeah, 907 Michigan to me is a real celebration of the community, because Roswell Park just didn't put this up. They just didn't build this and pop it up in the community. It was an ongoing discussion and conversation with residents, primarily from the Fruit Belt, and I come from the Fruit Belt.
Yeah.
So I applaud Roswell Park. It's not a plug for Roswell, but it's a real celebration of what can be done in harmony with the community between an organization as large as Roswell Park, who is trying to be considerate of the community, respectful of the community, by not just engaging, by including them in planning, and so I can't do enough of congratulations to that Roswell Park has achieved as emblematic at 907 Roswell. 907 Michigan. One of the things I love about the space there is that small gallery in that hallway that's illuminated with, I don't know how many survivors.
Yeah, so it's survivors and advocates that have kind of championed the community outreach and engagement mission since day one. And so it's a beautiful, we call it like the Wall of Survivors. It's a beautiful gallery of pictures. Right now there's 9 pictures of survivors. And each one of them has their own story to tell.
Right.
And they're survivors from what we call, what we consider as underrepresented minority groups that have had encounters and triumphs with all different types of cancer. One of my favorites to point out is Richard Scott, who's a male breast cancer survivor, African American male breast cancer survivor. We have, of course, female breast cancer survivors, colorectal cancer survivors, but they all kind of lend their effort, lend their voice into doing the work and kind of being that role model for other people to say, hey, get screened. It saved my life. It can save yours. And just it shows visually that we care about how cancer affects you, and we want to keep you healthy.
And I've met most of these people. They
Mm-hmm.
selflessly do the work.
They do.
We like to say God work, those who have faith and
Yeah.
believe. They do above and beyond. By the way, they don't get paid for this.
Right.
Okay, they
Right.
do this to save lives, and they use their experiences and their, as we say, stories to enlighten people who look just like them about the importance of knowing their risk factors, getting screened, being informed, and making informed decisions. Right. So, any last words that you want to give to the listening audience regarding what it is you do about cancer awareness in general?
Stay encouraged. I mean, there is a lot of information out there regarding cancer, regarding health. I believe like a lot of us now know the basics of what we need to do, but don't feel like that blame is put on you if you can't do all of those healthy, things that come out. I mean, there's something every week that comes out. Eat broccoli, eat chia seeds, so don't feel blame if you can't do that. But I would say reach out to your community. There are wonderful organizations in the community that can help you achieve better health. Stop by 907 Michigan. Stop by the farmers market,
our farmers market, or any farmers market.
Any farmers market. But seek the help. It is there. And I would say, in closing, every day strive to just do something a little bit better. Whether it's drinking an extra glass of water, or if you are a smoker, delaying that first cigarette in the morning, or taking 50 more steps that day. But also go see your doctor. Don't wait till it's too late. Keep your appointments. But if you need help, please reach out for help.
Great advice. Great advice from someone who knows. So again, that's the end of our show. Again, I'd like to thank Nikia Clark Robinson, Director of Community Outreach and Engagement out of the Department of Cancer Prevention and Control, right here at our own Rosa Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. Again, thank you, Nikia.
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to have you back. Okay, I'm
Lots
sure we
of-
are. There's still lots to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of our show. We'd like to again encourage you and invite you to come back next week at the same time. If you would like more information about the Heritage Corridor, we encourage you to visit us online at MichiganStreetBuffalo.org or call our office at 716-322-1002. So have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.